Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Sodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivanadari Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Pravijakacharya Asatosada Shishimat. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Anantakota Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikha Host Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopapya Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Maya Panavadam ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gau Premanandi. All glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories some devotees, all glories, Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 18, The Residents of Jambu Dweep, Offer Prayers, text number 36. Yasya Swarupam Kabayo Vipasthito Guneshu Dhareshu Iva Jata Vedasam Mitnanti Matna Manasa Didrikshavo Gudham Kuyartar Nama Iritatmane Yasya Svarupam Kavayo Vipasthito Guneshu Dhares Viva Jata Vedasam Nantimatna Manasadrikshavo Gudham Kriyartar Nami Vitatmane Yasya Surupam Kavayo Vipasthito Gunesha Dhares Vivajata Vedasam Mitnantimatna Manasadrikshavo Gudhang Kriyarthar Nama Vitatmane Yasya Surupam Kavayo Vipasthito Guneshu Dhares Vivajata Vedasam Mitnantimatna Manasadrikshavo Gudhang Vyartharnam Iritatmane. Nandimatnamanasadiksavo. You want to try? Yasya, whose? So rupam, form. Kavaya, the greatly learned sages. Vipaschita, expert in ascertaining the absolute truth. Guneshu, in the material manifestation, consisting of the three modes of nature. Dharushu, in wood. Iva, like. Jata, manifested. Vedasam, fire. Pitnanti, stir. Matna, with a piece of wood used for producing fire. Manasa, by the mind. Didukshava, who are inquisitive. Gudham, hidden. Kriya artai, by fruit of activities and their results. Namaha, respectful obeisances. Iritatmane, unto the Lord who is manifested. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada ki. By manipulating a fire-generating stick, great saints and sages can bring forth the fire lying dormant within wood. In the same way, O Lord, those expert in understanding the absolute truth try to see you in everything, even in their own bodies. Yet you remain concealed. You are not to be understood by indirect processes involving mental or physical activities. Because you are self-manifested, only when you see that a person is wholeheartedly engaged in searching for you do you reveal yourself. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The word kriyartai means by performing ritualistic ceremonies to satisfy the demigods. The word vipaschita is explained in the Taittiya Upanishad as follows. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhayam parame yoman sosnute sarvan kaman saha brahmana vipaschiteti. As Krishna states in the Bhagavad-gita 7:19, bahūnāṁ janmanām ante jñānavān prapadyate. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me. When one understands that the Lord is situated in everyone's heart and actually sees the Lord present everywhere, he has perfect knowledge. The word Jataveda means fire which is produced by rubbing wood. In Vedic times, learned sages could bring forth fire from wood. Jataveda also indicates the fire in the stomach, which digests everything we eat and which produces an appetite. The word Gudha is explained in the Svetasvatara Upanishad, Eko Deva Sarvabhuteshu Gudaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood by chanting the Vedic mantras, Sarva Vyapi Sarva Bhutantar Atma. He is all-pervading, and He is within the heart of living entities. Karmad Yaksha Sarva Bhutad Hivasaha. He witnesses all activities of the living entity. Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. The Supreme Lord is the witness as well as the living force, yet He is transcendental to all material qualities. Om Jnana Tamanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Krotavacha Langpang Langhayate Garim Yat Kripa Taraham Mande Shigurum Dinataranam Vanchakalpatubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. It's interesting that within wood, there's fire coming from the sun. And when the fire comes to the wood, then the fire comes out of the wood. So also within all living entities is this desire to serve Krishna. It just has to be ignited. And that's what this process is about. This chanting of Hare Krishna, this hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, taking prasadam, associating with the devotees, all these things bring out this desire to serve Krishna. And actually this is the most cherished desire that one can have, to serve Krishna. Because this is how we are satisfied, by serving Krishna, by pleasing Krishna. To bring out this service attitude, this desire to serve Krishna in the material world, especially in Kali Yuga, it's very, very difficult. But Krishna, in this form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has come to make it easier. Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar is the most munificent incarnation of Krishna, because he's freely giving people the opportunity to engage in devotional service by this very powerful method of chanting Hare Krishna and hearing the message of Krishna. So here in this purport, Prabhupada mentions this very famous verse in the 7th chapter. Bahūnāṁ janmanām ante jñānavān prapadyate Vasudeva Saramiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlava. After many, many births, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So, who knows how many lifetimes we've been in this material world, trying to enjoy separate from Krishna. So now we have this this opportunity, this divine opportunity to escape from this terrible place. There's a story of one person. He was a gold merchant, and he was on a ship, and he got caught in a storm, And eventually he landed on an island. And the natives in the island, they found him on the ship, and they brought him out, and he's thinking, what are these natives going to do with me? So they bring him to the center of the village, and they put a flower garland on him, and they put a crown on him, and they decorated him, and he became the king on the island. So he's thinking, oh, this is not so bad. Yeah. So he's being given servants, and he's got a minister, and he's got ladies, and he's got all this nice food they're serving him. And then he asked the minister, what happens to the other kings that were here? And he said, well, after a year, they're going to send you to an island, and there you're going to die. And he said, well, isn't there any facilities there? There's nothing there. You can't eat anything. There's nothing to drink. You're just going to die. And he's thinking, well, this is not good. So he was a king, so through the ministry, he arranged that the servants, go to this island and plant trees and vegetables and build some houses and some roads and send some people there. And when the year was up, they sent him to the island, and there was a civilized island. So he lived his life there, continued on as a king. So how is this relevant to us? One may ask. Well, we're in this world, people are in this world trying to enjoy luxury, most people. And they don't know that when they die, when they leave this body, they're going to be in a very unfortunate situation. They're not going to die, but they're going to suffer because of so much sinful activity. Yeah. So a devotee is thinking of the future. Yeah. Of course, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, forget the past that sleeps, nor the future dream at all, but live in times that are with thee, and progress thee shall call. So generally we don't think so much of the future. Be here now, right? Be here now. But in the absolute sense, we are thinking of the future. We want to have a bright future with Krishna in the spiritual world. This is our goal. It's a big goal. It's not an easy goal, but this is the goal of devotees. We want to serve Krishna. And now sometimes it's said that this is being a little selfish. You're just thinking of yourself. You want to go, back to the spiritual world and avoid all the misery of this world. Liberation. But a devotee at the same time is also thinking of how to help people, not just thinking of themselves. So therefore Prabhupada started this Sankirtan mission, where we go out to the people and we invite them also, hey, come back home. This is not a nice place. This is not your home. It's not a nice place at all. So we are also interested in helping others become liberated and go back home. And as Jesus said that store your treasures not in this world, but in the kingdom of God. So what is that treasure? That treasure is devotion to Krishna. This is the most valuable treasure, is devotion to Krishna. Bhakti parusthana bhava virakti anyat chaisatvika ekakala prapadyamanati tatasnastu tusti pusti kshunagayana nugasha. That by rendering devotional service, we get many advantages. By rendering service to Krishna, the most valuable advantage, the most valuable thing we achieve is we eventually attain love for Krishna by rendering service to Krishna. It comes out. That love for Krishna comes out by rendering service to Krishna. Yeah. And this is the highest goal, the highest desire, the most pure desire that a person can have is to render pure devotional service to Krishna. And then one becomes detached from material life, no longer interested in this material sense gratification. And it's natural when it's like when someone has a job. Let's say someone has a job, he's making some good money, but then someone offers him a better job where he's making more money, and there's not so much pressure on him. Then he rejects that other job and he takes this job. So it's natural, if you get something better, then you give up that lower thing. So we're trying to achieve the highest thing, residence in the spiritual world with Krishna. So by hearing about Krishna, by hearing about the spiritual world, by hearing about devotional service, then we give up these lower things, as so many devotees have done. And sometimes people just, they can't figure it out. How could you, it's like there's been devotees that were in school to be a doctor, or devotees that are born into wealthy families, and they give everything up. They can't understand why. Why would you do that? Because this is the highest achievement, the highest desire is devotional service. So he gives all these things up, gives up these material things. And then you get realization of Krishna. By rendering devotional service to Krishna, we get realization of Krishna. He reveals himself, as it's said here, that, you are not to be understood by indirect processes involving mental or physical activities, because you are self-manifested only when you see that a person is wholeheartedly engaged in searching for you, do you reveal yourself. So this is what we're searching for. This is what we're trying to achieve. This wholeheartedly engaged in searching for Krishna, as it's stated in the Sad Goswami Astakam. He Radhe Vrajadevi Ke Chalalite, He Nanda Suno Kuta, Gosanta Vriti Sarvato Vrajapare Ke Dharmahavi Valo, Shri Govardhana Kapa Padabatale, Kalindi Vanye Kuta, Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. That the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were running around, all around Vrindavan, searching for Krishna. Is Krishna on the bank of the Jamuna? Is he on Govardhan Hill? Where is Krishna? Like sometimes you go to Vrindavan or Radhakund, and they think they've achieved Krishna. Pure devotees of Krishna on the highest level, Uttama Adhikari. But the pure devotees, they're searching for Krishna. They don't think they've achieved Krishna. A devotee never thinks that he's even a devotee of Krishna. Always aspiring to become a devotee of Krishna, searching for Krishna. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? It's interesting that a neophyte devotee, they think that they're advanced in Krishna consciousness. But the devotee on the highest level of devotional service thinks he's not a devotee at all. And was it Krishnadas Kaviraj? He was one of the greatest Vaishnavas on the planet at the time. He said, I'm lower than a worm and stool. Anybody that chants my name loses all good qualifications. Yeah. This is pretty amazing. So this is the goal is to become a humble servant of Krishna. As it's stated here, it might take many, many births. Bahūnāṁ janmanām ante, jñānavān prapadyate. So prapadyate, what does this mean? Prapadyate means gotta surrender. Gotta surrender. Now people hear this word surrender, it's like in the Western movies, where surrender means you give up your free will. Of course, when we surrender to Krishna, we utilize our free will properly. We don't give up our free will, but we utilize it properly. Yeah. And this, so it means becoming a servant. Yeah. Surrender means we become a servant of Krishna. But who wants to be a servant? Yeah. It's not a very attractive thing. Join the Hare Krishna movement and become a servant. Servant means like a butler, or just slave, right? Huh? Peasant, yeah. But to be a servant of Krishna, to be a servant of the Vaishnavas, this is very glorious, actually. It's very glorious. It's wonderful. And this is where the highest happiness will be found, in service to Krishna. This is the desire of the soul. This is the nature of the soul, actually, is to serve. It's like the nature of fire, the dharma of fire. It's hot. Dharmas of water, it's wet. The dharma of the soul is to serve. So we can serve in many different ways. It's like people get married, and the idea is they become servants of each other. Yeah. Or then they get divorced, or there's one of them dies, and then they get a dog or a cat, and they serve the dog, serve the cat. Sometimes they get tiger pets. Yeah. And then the tiger gets its nature comes out and attacks their master. But the nature of the soul is to serve. And by serving Krishna, this is the highest pleasure. And this verse, Bhakti Parusthana Bhava Viraktir, we get devotion for Krishna by serving Him. We get realization of Krishna, and we become detached. So this verse goes on to say that just as when we're eating, we experience pleasure, which is compared to devotional service. The highest pleasure is service to Krishna. And it's such a high pleasure that people renounce everything to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. Yeah, so this is the greatest pleasure. And it's so much pleasure in serving Krishna that it's described that great devotees, when they're chanting Hare Krishna, their body shivers. Tears come from their eyes. Yeah. Hairs stand on end by just chanting Hare Krishna. By serving Krishna, they achieve the highest pleasure. And this is the pleasure that everyone is searching for, this pleasure. And not only is it the highest pleasure, but it's ever increasing. No limit. In material life, the pleasures, they come to a certain level and then it decreases. It decreases. Yeah. It's like, again, there's so much marriage, and it's in the beginning it's so wonderful, parties and honeymoon, and it's just fantastic, Now Now my life is really going to go nice. But then I looked it up. And anybody know how many divorces there are? Every day. 7,000, approximately. 7,000 divorces every day on the planet. So it got to a certain level, the pleasure got to a certain level, then it decreased. Or people get a job, and they like the job in the beginning. It's so nice, but then eventually it gets old. Just like the material things in general, it's just like they get old after a while, dry. But not so with Krishna. It's ever fresh, ever increasing. And therefore we have devotees now that have been practicing Krishna consciousness for over 50 years and happily engaged in Krishna consciousness. Like this devotee in Australia, Mukunda Maharaj. Such a nice devotee. Oldest devotee in the movement, joined in 66. Right? So, wonderful devotee, so kind and friendly, and you can see the result. Someone surrenders to Krishna, just gets nicer and nicer. Material life eventually gets old. So here in this purport, Prabhupada mentions the Supreme Personality of God is understood by chanting Vedic mantras. He is all-pervading, and He is within the heart of all living entities. It's like Krishna says in the 13th chapter, 23. Upatisthanamantaja bharta bhokta maheshwara paramat meti chapyukto dehesmin purusha paraha. That within this body there's another transcendental enjoyer. He's the Lord, He's the Supreme Proprietor, He's the Overseer and the Permitter. I was reading a purport recently, and Prabhupada said that Krishna, He is the proprietor of action. I was thinking, wow. The proprietor of action. Yeah. It's like there's 5 factors of action. What are the 5 factors of action? The place? The soul? No. The endeavor? Super soul? And the senses. These are the 5 factors of action. So just a little part of the action is the soul. It's mostly the super soul. Because nothing moves without the sanction of Krishna. So this is the super soul. Yeah. The proprietor of action, most action. It's interesting that these 5 things, if we don't have a body, then how can we act, right? Can't act. If you don't have senses, you can't act if you don't have senses. Yeah. If there's not an endeavor, there's no action. There's no place. So, but the main thing is the super soul. Proprietor of action. He's proprietor of everything. So this is the position of the super soul of Krishna. Yeah. And He's the overseer. This verse, I chant this verse quite often on book distribution. One of the 4 verses I chant on book distribution. Because Krishna, He is the overseer. He's overseeing everything, and He's allowing things to happen. Nothing happens without the sanction of Krishna. So you have that consciousness on book distribution, and Krishna's in control. Sometimes we like to take control. We think we can, I'll force this person. I'll get this person to take a book. Yeah. Does it work? It doesn't work. Doesn't work. You have to get the mercy of Krishna. Krishna's in control. So He's the overseer and the permitter. He's the Lord. He's the proprietor. This is the position of Krishna. Unfortunately, people in this world, they're trying to be the Lord. They're trying to be the enjoyer, the proprietor. And the result of this? Bad result. Bad karma. They get a reaction. Trying to be God. Like I asked this question to Nirantar the other day, because a person asked this to me. He said, you know, it doesn't seem like the punishment we're receiving fits the crime that we did. What did we do? It was a thought crime. We wanted to be Krishna. We saw Krishna there, the Supreme Personality of God, having such a great time, and we wanted to have that position. It was a thought crime, but it's a serious it's a serious thought crime, and therefore we're here trying to. Yeah, we're in this material world for who knows how many millions of lifetimes, suffering because of a thought crime. Nirantar, what did it? Tough love, and
like the spiritual world, it's basically like whether it was 1 second or a billion years, it's essentially a snap.
Yeah, it's just a moment. So, but here now it appears like it's a little bit over punishment, a little bit too much punishment. It appears, but yeah, it's a serious crime. You want to be God? It's a serious crime. And here everybody's trying to be God. What was that? Shakespeare said, the whole world is the stage and everyone is thinking they're the main actor on the stage. I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. A tale told by an idiot. So, yeah. It appears like it's, Krishna's kind of going over on the punishment, but it's a serious crime. You want to be God, and it's something we wanted also. That's another thing. It's something we wanted, so we come to this world. All right, give it a shot. Try to be God. Try to be the enjoyer. Try to be the proprietor. Good luck, but you have your free will. There you go. There's an interesting pastime with Prabhupada. Prabhupada was in his room, and there was one bug in the room on his table. And he picked it up, and he opened his window, and he threw it out the window. And Prabhupada said, there, now you have the whole world to enjoy. Try to be God. Yeah. It's interesting. So that's what everybody's trying to be. This is what we wanted. But there can't be two gods. There's one. That's Krishna. So now, fortunately, we're coming to the realization that, no, I'm the servant. And a lot of people come to that realization. I'm not God. I can't be God. I'm the servant. So we try to become servants again. And that's what that's what this mission is about. We're trying to help people remember that you're servant of Krishna. Okay, any questions? Yes. Okay.
So this verse says that only one. The very last sentence of the verse?
Yeah. It says, therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Right before that.
Okay. Because you are self-manifested, only when you see that a person is wholeheartedly engaged in searching for you do you reveal yourself.
Yeah. So I noticed that in the beginning, but right before we become a devotee, our intensity for wanting to understand the truth is very, very strong. But then there's it's a possibility that when one comes to Krishna consciousness, particularly they live in a temple, or even if they have a family, whatever it may be, Klesh Agni, this Klesh Agni effect starts to take place, suffering diminishes, and the motive sattva kind of rises, and so life becomes very peaceful. And I guess something that I've always thought about is, how does one not become complacent with the peace that bhakti brings in the initial stages, because it brings a very peaceful life. You know, if you're living in the temple, 3 meals a day, guarantee, you know, you have good people you're around, you live a very sattvic life, you can take a nap if you want. It's like a very, very peaceful life. So that intensity can kind of die off. So how do we keep a high level of intensity and be aware that although we may be living in a peaceful situation, Krishna is only providing that in order to intensify that desire without becoming complacent to the sattvic situation Krishna has provided to us.
Go on book distribution. Nice and peaceful here. When you go on book distribution, it's like a battlefield. Yeah, not so peaceful. Yeah, of course. You know, quite often it is. It's nice. You know, meet nice people, but sometimes it's intense. You know, you gotta. It's a battle with the mind, the senses. You gotta, and actually, and it's good because you know, you can stay back and you get a little, you know, it's nice and peaceful, you get complacent. But Prabhupada actually said that, he said, I chose my GB seamen by whom I saw taking the most risk to spread Krishna consciousness. And they were all book distributors, actually. All the GB seamen were book distributors that Prabhupada put in charge of this movement. Yeah. Because they wanted to get out of the comfortable situation, the comfort zone, yeah, and try to help people. So to live in the temple, it's a comfort zone. It's nice, yeah, nice devotees around, nice prasadam around, yeah. But Prabhupada wanted us to spread this movement around the world, yeah, for the benefit of others. Okay? Yes, Javita Prabhu.
That seeming paradox or puzzle as to why we suffer so much in the material world, and we just committed that one faux pas of, right? In other words, the idea that the punishment didn't fit the crime.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is that the initial leaving of the spiritual world, I remember it was kind of quite a revelation when the 9th canto came out, the latter part of the 9th canto, which was, you know, far along in Prabhupada's literary work. And there was a purport there where he said the first birth you take is Brahma. It's, you know, Brahma. So then it was like, how does that compute? Because like all the living entities, every ant, every Brahma, that's all the universes, you know. But aside from that problem, obviously all the Brahmas don't go back to Godhead. They continue to come down and become degraded and become even a worm and stool. So how does that happen? Because the first crime, the first mistake of turning your back on Krishna, and then you want to enjoy like Krishna. Okay, so you have a very exalted birth, but if you don't, you know, reform yourself and then take shelter of Krishna again, then inevitably you become more illusioned and you become degraded. And meanwhile, you're performing more crimes, just living in this world. You don't know, you may not know you're performing them, but just like, you know, people go shopping, they go to Ralph's, you know, and pick up lunch, you know, they meat is there and the whole thing. So much unknown crime that you're doing, and which is tremendously hurtful to so many other living entities. So if you look at it that way, then you can see that, oh, that just being an ordinary person without any inkling of Krishna consciousness and living an ordinary life is also committing so much sin, we call it. And so that's why it can get so horrible, even though you don't know it's a crime. In other words, you're committing more crimes. You go to jail for shoplifting, but while you're in jail, you kill somebody, and so your punishment is much greater. It's not the shoplifting; it's what you've done afterward. So that's the way I would answer someone like that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else? Oh yeah. On Zoom, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I do have a question. Yes, Vijay Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. My question is, if I may, in what measure chanting the Vedic mantras will make me understand God? Is it that if I chant a Hare Krishna mantra, God will give me his direct darshan?
Well, depends on the sincerity. If it's like we have these 10 offenses. If we didn't commit these 10 offenses, we would have our love for Krishna. It's because of these offenses. And there's 2 offenses that stick out the most, that we commit the most. And that is inattentive japa, chanting our mantras inattentively. Any of you ever had that experience? It's a major challenge because the mind is like all over the place. It's like it's such a difficult thing just to chant one round attentively. It's a great challenge. You know, what to speak of 16. And the other one is to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. These are the 2 major offenses. So the more we're free of these offenses, there's other offenses as well, the more we attract the attention of Krishna. And then Krishna, he reveals himself more and more according to our sincere desire to serve him. So we have to pray to Krishna for sincerity, so that we can chant these mantras nicely, purely, with a desire to serve Krishna. And we have to pray to Krishna, become free of our material attachments. Prabhupada said 2 things go very deep in this world. Desire to enjoy the fruits of our activities and sex desire. They go very deep in the heart. You know, for who knows how many lifetimes we've been trying to enjoy. So, we have to pray to Krishna and he'll help us. Man proposes, God disposes. So he'll help us in this endeavor to chant purely and to serve purely. We have to want it. Just like in the spiritual world, at one point we wanted to be God. And here we are. Now we got to change that mentality. I want to serve you again, Krishna. I just want to serve you again with a pure heart. Please help me. Yes,
One
Prabhu.
further little comment, if you allow me.
Yeah.
I remember when I read that book by Bhakti Vikas Swami, reading parts of it anyway. Bhakti Vibha, the Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Vibha. And one of the sections there, broken into sections, you know, is how his verses that he would recommend to memorize and things like that he was always quoting. And one of the sections there was about how it's important to glorify the holy name. Just like you understand, okay, the holy name is Krishna, is a person. So if we get glorified, then we're naturally attracted to that person. We want to, you know, in other words, it attracts us. And there's also, if you study prayers to the holy name, you can pray to the holy name. There's an ashtaka by Rupa Goswami, Namashtaka. And several of them are prayers to the holy name. And it's like, please increase my attachment for you. Please let me focus on you like that. So prayer is so important. When you focus on that to the holy name, then you can have a breakthrough and you can be more attentive.
That'd be something good to chant before we chant and start our japa, the namastikam that you just mentioned.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick out a verse besides the reading.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. Every morning you could just go over and over again. The 8 verses. Yeah.
Everyone knows Madhuri Pura. Madhuri Pura, the kirtan.
Yeah.
His name is part of a verse, the last verse in Namashtaka, which is a prayer. Naradavino jivana sadormini yasa madhuri pura tam Krishna nama kamam spodame rasane rasena sada. Oh, holy name, it's something like, you are the river of the most intense nectarous bliss. Please always appear on my tongue with great relish. Please give me great, great attachment for you. So these, the acharyas have written prayers for us for that.
Can you send me those astikas, please?
I can send everyone the astikas.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Send them to everybody. Yeah.
I've been in some brahmachari ashrams in the world where instead of doing like reading from a book or something, they'll actually do shloka drills for about the same time that they would be like reading quotes or something. They'll do shloka drills and they have like a particular sequence, which is like the traditional way that they would train the kids in Gurukul to memorize shlokas. So they would repeat each word 3 times, each line 3 times, and then the entire shloka 3 times. It takes about 5 minutes to do, and you can memorize so many shlokas doing this.
Wow. That's in Pune.
And then you're just chanting them the entire day because of the drills you were doing in the morning.
Oh, yeah. That's in Pune?
As in, I've experienced it in Pune. I've also experienced it in Krishna life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pune during the brahmacharya ashram, the classes, they'll do that.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.